To that at all, and they have a spout which can be pumped up with gas. You pump it up through a small hand pump, scrunch it up, get all the contaminated air out, and then pump it up once more, crimp that over, and at the moment they're having to fly these full of gas from up in the mountains down to Rapahoe, which is a small town just up the coast, to have the gas analysed. I said earlier one of the issues with that is leakage from the bags and contamination. So what we're doing about that is getting another system on site, a gas chromatograph, which has to be correlated with another larger unit, which is the rescue station. Once we've done that, we can do our bag samples on site much easier, much quicker, and very reliably without the risk of those large fluctuations going up and down in helicopters and risking bleeding these out, which would then contaminate the sample and make it more difficult to interpret. The other thing I wanted to talk a little bit about was the mine plan. Again, it's very hard to understand. I appreciate when we're dealing with a coal mine, is that the coal seam is quite flat or dipping in our case, but it's not a vertical mine. It's a mine that goes in from the side of the hill. On this mine plan, I appreciate it's not very easy to see, but right down at the bottom of the plan is the start of the tunnel. And by way of size, but to give you an idea, from the start of the bottom of the plan right up to here is the tunnel, and this small area here is the whole rest of the mine. So the mine is not very big. It's only been operating, it's been operating now for a couple of years, but with a number of slow areas early in the mine's life, we've only developed out several hundred metres of mine roadways. So when the rescue teams go in, and the superintendent will talk more about that, they'll be looking to come from the tunnel right up to this pit bottom area near where our shaft is and establish a fresh air base, and from there they can do a search and recovery of the rest of the mine. So as you can see, it's not a large area. The men would be working quite close together, and even if they're working in separate areas, they'd be still quite close together, and the rescue teams won't have a large area to cover with their search.
Thanks, Ed. The major focus of the game today has been search and recovery of these 29 miners. To date, we have not had an opportunity to get underground. We're still waiting for a window of opportunity where we can do this. As the search commander, I'm not prepared to put people underground until we can prove it's a safe environment. So we will still keep liaising with the families, still look for that window of opportunity to get underground and get these guys out. We still remain positive, and we believe that once that window of opportunity opens, we are ready to go. The guys at the scene today have been focusing on getting their equipment ready, going through drills, looking at the various risks they'll face underground, and being prepared for the search. So as Peter explained, once this window opens, we only have a short time frame to get in there, look at what's down there, and then make a decision what we're going to do. So for the next 24 hours, we'll be focusing on the same thing. We've managed to utilise the rescue helicopter on four occasions and take samples of air from the top of the shaft, which has been fantastic. And through the cooperation of Peter and his team, we're able to analyse that and look at those windows. But to date, they have not been possible to get downstairs. We're still waiting. So we still will focus on recovering and getting in and trying to find these guys and bring them home, which still remains our major focus. Thanks.
David? Just to update you, the two miners that presented at Grey Hospital late yesterday afternoon, both have received moderate injuries, have been treated overnight, and have been discharged late this morning. Now, both miners have again requested that they're given space and time from the media to focus on their colleagues and friends that are still in the mine. Again, all of the emergency services have been very coordinated, and again the linkages with Pike River Police and all of the emergency services are on standby to respond to a whole range of different scenarios. And West Coast District Health Board is taking the lead on the medical support, and that also has all of the major district health boards on standby to provide whatever support is required to ensure that any cases can be handled appropriately.
Okay. Questions, please, and probably if you could keep them in respective categories. So any response questions direct to the superintendent, mine questions to Peter, and any related health issues that David's spoken about.
Peter, how are the families and loved ones holding up this afternoon?
They've been given some updates from the mine site, and they're all still gathering and supporting each other, and they've been kept up to date with what's happening up at the mine site. So it's obviously still a very trying time for them. They're spending a lot of time with each other, and there's not a lot they can do. It's much like the rest of us. We can only wait, and as the superintendent said, wait for the right opportunities to get into the mine, and they understand that.
Peter, do you think it's appropriate that you're advising the families, firstly, not to speak to the media and not leaving it to their own discretion, and beyond that, advising them not to reveal to the media which of their loved ones are trapped in the mine? Surely that is their supreme right.
So like a lot of other misinformation this morning that I corrected, that's certainly not the case. I was at the meeting that I spoke at this morning where I actually offered 3 alternatives to the families and told them that they were more than welcome to talk to anyone they wished to. It was their situation, it was their anxiety, and it was their the family that was involved. They could do whatever they wished. We offered them the opportunity that we would advise the media to respect their privacy, and we offered them the opportunity, if they wish to, that we could actually act as a mediator between the two, but that's certainly not the case, and I have nothing to stop them talking to anyone about.
Mr. Whittle, can you tell us a bit about the air quality from the samples taken from the shaft this morning?
The air quality from the samples this morning are inconclusive. The rescue team needs to see certain trends. They actually analyse quite a number of different gases within the air, not just 1 or 2, and they look for a trending within certain gas ranges. They're not seeing that trend at the moment, and therefore they're not able to be conclusive about what their strategy is.
Can you tell us what gases they are?
They would typically be looking at the trend of methane, the trend of carbon monoxide, the trend of ethane, and a number of other trace gases within the mine ventilation.
And when you talk about a trend, you're wanting it to get less, are you?
Yes, it depends on what the gas is. Some gases will be indicative of heating, some will be indicative of fresher air. In this case, they are looking for a downward trending in carbon monoxide, which would indicate that there must be no further heating, which would create a hazard underground. We just don't have enough samples in a row to be conclusive about what they're looking at the moment.
Where do you strike that balance between safety of searchers going in and performing the rescue and the need to observe that amount of time where time could be running out?
It's a very fine balance. I'm not going to put people underground and risk through their lives. The guys who do this job are volunteers, and they take it quite seriously. They're all experienced miners, and I'm not going to put 16 men below ground and risk losing them. So it is a fine balance, and once we reach that stage where I'm comfortable, the mine captain's comfortable, we'll send them down there. It's like saying, it's not 50 cents each way. There's this very scientific process we go to, we reach a stage of safety. Safety is paramount for me. I'm not going to put anyone else underground until I'm comfortable that it's a safe environment and we can bring people out.
But is that like 100% safe, or a point at which you think it's an acceptable risk? Like it's a minimal risk, somewhat, but you're compromising that just to get there in time?
Life's full of risks. At the end of the day, we have to be comfortable that those men that go below ground are comfortable to go there for me. It's their call. I'm not going to force them. And yes, it's one of those situations you have to balance it, but they have to be happy. It's their lives that are going down there to rescue their mates, and they have to be comfortable.
Gary, you say it's a very short window for them to do that. How short is it? And also, are you ready to go any time? If that window should be 2 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning, does it matter?
We're ready 24 hours a day. Those guys are up there with the necessary equipment. They've been practicing all day. They're doing their risk assessments. They're ready to go to any opportunity. And I spent the last 24 hours, I haven't been to bed, I've been up there with them, watching them train. As soon as that environment changes, as Peter says, and we're comfortable, they'll go straight in.
How long have they got?
Are you something on an hourly basis, or?
I'm not going to be specific. We're doing it on a regular enough basis that we're comfortable when we get the right levels and we can go in there. It's one of those situations, if you took one sample today and it changes tomorrow, which we hope, we'll be ready. It's one of those situations where we've got to hold a crews up there waiting to go in there.
How much time have they got when they go in? Is it an hour, 2 hours?
No. They're the experts. It's a mining situation. They have to get ready. So as soon as the purity is at the right level, they're ready to go.
You just mentioned tomorrow. Are you thinking it won't be until then?
We don't know. It could happen overnight. It could happen in the next hour. But until the safety regulations are met and we reach that point, we're not going to speculate.
These men have what is the risk of carbon monoxide poisoning? We've seen the self-rescue demonstration you've given us. How much time could anyone possibly, if they were being exposed to that gas, a poisonous gas, what's the situation? What would be potentially the situation for those men?
The level of carbon monoxide the risk to the person obviously depends on the level of carbon monoxide in the area they're working. We have no way of knowing what the level of carbon monoxide is where the men are, because all we're able to do is determine what the exhaust from the mine is doing, and that would determine where the threshold base is for the rescue teams to get to, and then explore the rest of the mine. So we don't understand what the atmosphere is in the rest of the mine at this stage.
Can you talk to the men who were in the mine? Have they made any comment about the incident itself?
I'm hoping to see those guys. I've linked them to the hospital and medical services at this stage.
They don't comment to you at this stage?
I personally have not spoken to them yet. They were interviewed. One of them was very disorientated when he first came out of the mine, and the other one wasn't, and was able to give reasonably limited information about his own personal situation, which was that he was knocked over and he believes unconscious, but he had a loss of a small time frame in his mind, and then he made his way out of the mine. He believed that there was an explosion, which is why he was knocked over. He didn't see flames or anything like that, he just was knocked over. So because we've only been able to interview two, excuse me, and one of them was out quite close to the surface when the event occurred, and neither of them have been able to give us a lot of information that's of practical use in this exercise.
Have you been able to deploy sonar equipment to detect any sort of sound whatsoever inside the rock?
No, we haven't. As you can see by the plan, we're about 2 kilometres up the tunnel. The coal mining is, the coal mine is because of the methane environment. We can't just use standard off-the-shelf equipment because that would increase the hazard underground. It has to be specially intrinsically safe. We also have to, the rescue team has to be safe and understand what they're deploying so that they don't actually increase the hazard to the men that are underground. So putting equipment in there that isn't appropriate would increase the hazard rather than decrease it.
What do you talk about the composition of the rescue team? How many people will go in initially when they get the green light?
Well, that's something that's up to the experts. These are guys that are miners that are the experts. They're going in to save their colleagues, and obviously they will look at the numbers that they need and will be guided by them. Any support they need, we're providing it. So at the end of the day, I'm not a miner, I'm not an expert, but all I can say is that when the opportunity arises, they're ready to go. And I've seen them, they're very professional men, they want to save their colleagues. They want to go down.
When they go in, how long do they think it will take them to search the mine area?
It's no idea. When you look at this plan ladder, this is 2.5 k's. So when you look at it, if they have to walk in there 2.5 k's underground, that's a long way.
Will they have oxygen tanks?
Well, they'll be fully equipped, obviously, and there's a very thorough. It's like any type of search and rescue operation. They go through a pattern, they look at the various environments, they look at the risk, and they do a very thorough search on the way through. And they're all things that we're currently scoping and looking at. How do we get them in there quickly? Where do we drop them off? What are the risks posed by putting them in now as opposed to waiting? And other things that will go into the picture when they're ready. They'll go in and tell us what's going on.